The ones who gotta delegate, get that money and the power, never be fake, stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own, educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10, 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School, and I was here tonight about to go to bed, and sometimes I'll see something that's interesting, and I want to follow up on it. And so what I wanted to talk about today has to do with what makes a woman a queen versus women who just get called queens, get the benefit of the doubt, but there's more doubt than benefit. Because I saw something. I was sitting on Facebook, and I was looking through the posts, and I saw a post from Nomalanga Mushali Moses. And Nomalanga's from Africa, and she kind of keeps it real about African American relationships. I think in Noma's view, we need lessons in manhood. A lot of the men here, never learn certain responsibilities about manhood. And also she feels that some of the women are licensed to be ratchet, just kind of licensed to be mean to the men and to complain about the men and to talk shit about the men without any sort of accountability on their part. And so what Nomalanga referenced, and I want to say hello to everybody, just so I don't want to be rude to you guys. Also, what's up on Instagram? I see you on Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins, so feel free to check that out. She quotes something from a guy by the name of Jai. I don't know who he is, but the quote went viral. And I'm going to read this quote to you, and I'm going to tell you, give you an interpretation of it, and you guys can feel free to share your thoughts on this. In this quote, it says, most men are not running away from a great woman. They are running away from parts of themselves that they are not willing to fix to deserve her. So basically they're saying that most men are not running away from a great woman. They are running away from parts of themselves they are not willing to fix in order to deserve her. Now, what do you guys think about the statement? I mean, you guys, do you guys like that? Do you feel that language is like right on time? Like, and of course, a lot of the, there was a lot of likes and shares and amens and preach and, stuff like that. And, and I'm going to just sort of point out what I think might be a flaw in a statement like that. I think that, this idea that, men who don't do what the woman tells them to do are flawed is one that you might want to reconsider. I'm not going to tell anybody what to think, but I'm going to kind of lay it out, just from a man's perspective. If you want to know anything about my personal life, I've talked about it a little bit. I exposed my personal life, put it on blast, for deliberate reasons, because I want to let people know that I'm not all talk, I'm action oriented. And I love a beautiful black woman, love her to death. I proposed to her in public, and that was because I wanted everybody to see a black man doing whatever it is I do. There are people that pay attention to me that really, 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 really loves a black woman, and is proud of it, ain't ashamed to say it, glad to, remind the world that that's true, because I think black women deserve that respect. But here's one of the things. I'm also a believer in drawing boundaries. And when I draw boundaries, here's one of the things, that I do. You guys know I'm all about truth. I want to figure out the solution. I think it's absolute. I think the idea that, every woman's a queen is bullshit. We know that's not true. I mean, give me a yes or no if you think that every black woman out here is a queen. Seriously, do you really think every black woman's a queen? No. It's just not true. You got a lot of women that, unfortunately have issues, and they don't like being called out on their issues. Just like you got men that got issues. I mean, it's not just a woman thing, right? You got men that got issues who are very stubborn about their issues, who don't want to hear what their issues are, don't want to work on their issues. So maybe it's not just a man or a woman thing, it's just a human thing. But the reason I want to bring up the sort of gender-based aspect of this is particularly in light of this quote, about, and I'll read it again. It says, Most men are not running away from a great woman. They are running away from parts of themselves they are not willing to fix to deserve her. Okay, so he says most men. He doesn't say all men, but he's saying most, which is somewhat of a generalization. And he's assuming that when a man walks away, that he's running away, and that he's running away from a great woman. The reason that's a false statement is because some men are walking away from an absolute terror. Some men are walking away from an abuser. Some men are walking away from a woman who, thinks that she can just say whatever she wants, treat him any old kind of way, not give a shit about his needs, and he walks away, and then at that point he becomes that much more of a motherfucker. At that point, because you walked away, I don't know, has anybody ever seen this or gone through this, where you're dealing with somebody who ain't shit? Ladies can probably talk about this too. Somebody treats you like shit, like complete shit, and you talk to them about it. You try to work through it. You try to get them to step their game up and to stop doing it. And then one day you like, you know what? I'm out. I got to go. And then they start acting like even more of an asshole because you left. Oh, but you ain't shit. You left me on the curb. You don't have no loyalty. These hoes ain't loyal. All right, whatever, right? Like, it can happen for a man or a woman. But I'm just sitting here trying to understand how somebody can treat you like shit and then get all mad when you try to walk away. Well, a lot of that's abusive behavior. That's what an abuser does. An abuser does not earn the right to be in your life. An abuser dominates their way into your life. Like, for example, an abusive man is not a man who's going to say, you know what, I'm dating a fine-ass woman. I gotta be on my A game because I'm always competing. I'm sitting on some prime real estate, so I gotta, really do my best to constantly remind her of why she chose me over all the other options, right? That's what a man is supposed to do, but a lot of men won't do that. A lot of men will treat you like shit, and then they catch you looking at another man. They catch another man looking at you. What they do? They start barking. Right? They start running away the competition because they can't handle the competition. They're not prepared for the competition. So they start acting territorial like an animal. And you have women that do that too. Women that will, ignore their men, treat them like shit, ain't giving them no ass, or maybe, just not listening to him. It ain't even always about the sex, right? And, the minute that other women start realizing that you're mistreating a good man, they start barking again. Who's that bitch? Right? And to me, people that bark, it reminds me of that saying in Kentucky that the hit dog always hollers. People that bark are typically people that are barking because they really can't compete. Like, when you're barking, you're yelling out your insecurities to the world. When you're barking, you're kind of yelling out the fact that you don't know, that you really can't hold the position that you're in. So you're reacting in an overly emotional, irrational kind of way. And so here's some fundamental truths I'm going to give you. I hope it's okay for me to go into Uncle Boyce mode real quick. If it's okay, just give me a yes or no in the chat. Let me know it's okay to go into Uncle Boyce mode. Or if you don't like it, then I guess you could just go somewhere else. But I'm going to basically say that when I saw that statement, and I'm going to read it again for those who just came in. It says, most men are not running away from a great woman. They are running away from parts of themselves they are not willing to fix to deserve her. Well, the reason that that's a problematic statement is because that statement leans on the consistent idea, the consistent false idea that the man, particularly the black man, is all fucked up and flawed. And that the woman is this perfect, sweet little angel, and he'd be stupid to walk away from that. Like, seriously, it leans on this idea when he says running away from a good woman. Some women ain't good. They just have their girlfriends telling them that they're good, right? They have relationship after relationship. They go south, and their girlfriends are always telling them that it ain't your fault. Seriously, and I don't say much about it, not to a person's face, because if you try to tell somebody that thinks they're the shit, sometimes the worst person to date in the world is somebody who is absolutely, completely, without fail, convinced, unequivocally, that they are the shit. Like, seriously, we talk about self-esteem. Well, sometimes you can overdose on self-esteem. You do know that, right? Sometimes you can OD on self-esteem to the point where you have no room for self-reflection or self-critique or growth, or you're not trying to grow because you're the shit. And when you are convinced that you're the shit, because maybe your girlfriend's been telling you, girl, you the shit, girl, right? Because you think you're the shit, you think that it's your job to fix men so that they become worthy of you, right? You think it's your job to correct him and to make him, bring him to your level. When really he might be past your level. He might be up here and you down here. But you thinking you the shit, so you really messed up. Seriously. And so people that are full of themselves, that's a great term, Greg Jackson. Those are not great people to date. Because people like that, they typically have a hard time apologizing. They have a hard time admitting when they made a mistake or the areas that they can improve on. They're just kind of stuck in this whole like I'm the shit mode, and people who think they're the shit usually ain't shit. They're usually shitty people to date. Seriously. And so this statement, like, when men run away, most men are not running away from a great woman. They are running away from parts of themselves they are not willing to fix to deserve her. I don't know what the brother meant when he made the statement. I know a lot of women were clapping because what it does is it allows you to inherently justify every failed relationship you've had, or every time a man didn't want to stay with you, it allows you to say he didn't stay with me because I'm a great woman and he was broken and that's why he wasn't willing to stick around because he wasn't willing to fix himself. And sometimes that might be true, but the interesting thing about that statement is, what it is? That's the female version of, you ever seen a man who tries to go holler at a woman and he comes at the woman all crazy and disrespectful? He's like, hey, baby, why don't you come on back to my place, girl? You looking good in that dress. Well, that ass though, right? Whatever, right? He's coming up real disrespectful, and you say no, thank you, or he wants to go out with you, and you say no, I'm okay, I'm good, thank you, and then he turns, he's like, yo, raggedy bitch, right? Like suddenly, like the guy who was real complimentary a minute ago suddenly becomes an asshole, like, yo, raggedy ass bitch. Well, fuck you, don't nobody want you anyway, right? Like that's, to me, when women say like the reason he walked away from me is because he's broken anyway and he ain't shit. That's basically the female version of the man who basically wants to cuss out every girl who doesn't accept his advances, right? It's when really somebody needs to tell him, like, maybe you would have had a chance if you would approach her a little bit different. So maybe you got to work on your game. Maybe your breath was stinking. Maybe you need to like not dress so dusty when you approach women. Maybe you should take your time to get to know the woman before you decide you want to take her home and put her in your bed. Maybe she wasn't right for you. Maybe she had a boyfriend. Maybe you're not her type, right? Does she have to be a raggedy bitch just because she didn't want you? Right? So the same thing is true for women. Like, does he really have to be broken and fucked up and raggedy just because he didn't want you? Maybe he wasn't a good fit. Maybe he wanted something different. Maybe something's wrong with you. Seriously, I had I had a friend, and I'm not going to say her name at all or identify too much because in case she watches the my YouTube channel, and I haven't talked to her for years. But it's real interesting. She was in the dangerous category of dating. And here's the dangerous category. The most dangerous category of people to date. I don't know how many of y'all are single. How many of y'all are in here are single? How many of y'all are single? I'm not single. So ladies, I just want y'all to know I'm not available. How many of y'all in here are single? Okay. So this lady, she's in what I consider to be the most dangerous category of woman to date. Here's the category she's in. She's fine as hell. I mean, gorgeous. But yet she's never even come close to being married. I don't think she's been proposed to. Her relationships last about 6 months. Now, and I met her when she was about 30, right? And so you meet this person and you're like, oh my God, I found some buried treasure up in this bitch. Oh my God. I found this amazing woman that for some reason, she doesn't have a man. Nobody wants her, right? How lucky am I, right? You see where this is going, don't you? You see where this is going, right? I was around her in a dating capacity for about 3 days before I quickly realized why men did not stay very long. She is batshit crazy. Batshit crazy. And so I just backed up. You know, a lot of times, here's the thing. Sometimes, most of the time, when you have issues, I hope that you're lucky enough to find somebody who will really be honest with you about your issues and do it from a genuine place where they can really kind of help you improve. You know, because most people, I think most people, at least myself, I don't like drama. I don't want drama because I'm a black man, and I don't want to be in an apartment yelling and screaming with a woman and have the police come because they're going to lock me up because I'm a black man, right? So I just don't do drama. Alicia and I get mad at each other. We give each other the silent treatment, or I'll go in my bedroom or whatever and watch Netflix for 2 hours or whatever, right? Like we just don't do that. I never have done that. Even when I was younger, I just was like, I'm not trying to go to jail. So a lot of people don't want drama. You know, good men, good women don't really like drama. They'll just see your bullshit and will just politely walk away from you and won't tell you anything. And then you'll go through life thinking that something was wrong with them. And so basically, this person, I've seen, you know, from a distance, I kind of watched her dating life. And every time I talk to her, you know, it'd be like, we talk like once every year or two. Every time I talk, I'm like, so what are you up to? Oh, I met a guy. He was a great guy. But after 3 months, I found out blah, 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 and he's gone. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, that's about right. It's about 3-4 months in. That's about usually when the relationships all end. And I kid you not, to this day, she's in her 40s, still gorgeous, still fine as hell. And still thinking that she is the shit. Still thinking that, you know, that all these men, these dozens, by now it's got to be dozens of men that have come into her life and politely walked out, that it's always their fault, and she's the first one to clap when somebody puts a post up saying that these broken ass, weak ass black men run away from good women because these black men ain't shit. So, you know, I'm gonna really just say, I'm not gonna tell anybody what to do, right? I would just say, you know, I'll give you a perspective on this, right? Here's what I see. Okay, you live in a society where it's a very feminized society, right? There was a war, you know, there was the war on women, and women won, right? And basically women, you know, have shaped a lot of the narrative in this country, and it's fine. I think it's great. I think that we had a country that mistreated women for a very long time. I love to see women empowered. But one of the downfalls of this empowerment that exists in America is that you've kind of gotten to this point where the vilification of men is very easy. Right? It's very easy for a woman. I mean, I'm talking about a shitty ass woman. I'm talking about a woman who, imagine the worst woman imaginable. It's easy for her to not only get away with victimizing men, but to make herself look like the victim. That's where, for example, you look at Cardi B, who openly bragged about how she used to drug men and set them up to be raped by transvestites, and also would rob them and steal their money. And people still cheer for her. People still clap for her. And then, in fact, right afterward, they made a movie about strippers who were drugging and raping men, and Cardi B was in the movie, and they shaped the narrative to make the strippers into the heroes. The criminals who were doing a Bill Cosby routine on these men, they shaped the narrative in a certain way, and the way you do it is you humanize the predator, right? So you humanize the strippers. Well, she is only stealing money because she has to feed her baby, or she's only drugging men because they're bad men and because men did bad things to her, right? But with the men, they're 100% evil. So basically, when you dehumanize one side and you completely humanize the other, what you're doing is you're shifting the narrative in a way that in a way that it presents a type of privilege that is not given to, say, black men. Like, no one will ever humanize the black male to say, well, the reason he was selling crack was because he was trying to do right for his mama and his daughter, or the reason that he shot that dude was because he was trying to protect his family, or the reason that, you know, the reason he got into the fight with his girlfriend is because she was fucking with him and she attacked him physically or whatever, right? They don't really get into those narratives for black men. Black men don't get to be humanized because black men are seen as subhuman. So what happens is, I believe that people see this. People know this. Even other black people know this. Sometimes you have black women that really maybe are unhappy, maybe because they're deep down mad at their father, right? Mad because their father wasn't around when they were little or whatever. And so when you're going through your relationships, it's easier to be able to always point fingers and go around with a crutch. right? You can sort of say, look, society isn't holding me accountable for anything. No matter what happens, I get to be seen as either the hero or the victim, right? And the other person can always be labeled as the perpetrator. How many times have you ever heard, for example, give just one example. How many times have you ever heard a woman say, I was in an abusive relationship. He was an abuser. He abused me. How many times have you ever heard somebody say that? And I want you to pay attention. How often do people ask for any details? How often do people say, we'd like to hear his side of the story too. We'd like to know because he doesn't seem like somebody who would do that. How often does that happen? How often do people validate that information? And how often do we just let it go? Like, oh, you're a survivor of abuse, right? And in many cases, in a lot of cases, not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, I mean, some of these women are tough. Black women are not no punks. Like, some of these black women are some really, really strong. They'll put their balls on the table in a minute. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, seriously. So this sort of idea that the woman's always the powder puff, getting punched around and slapped around by the man, we know that's not consistent with reality, right? We have seen, all of us, everybody in here has seen some relationship where there was some woman who was all up a man's ass, down his throat, kicking him around, all kinds of verbal abuse, psychological abuse. You ain't shit, you ain't this, you ain't that. And then when she gets called on the bullshit, it's easy to flip into victim mode. You start crying and you say, well, I only act like this because he made me act like this. He made me have to yell at him, right? Well, I can't, a man can't do that. Like, a man can't say, well, I slapped her because the bitch made me have to slap her. I mean, she just fucking with me. I had to slap her ass, right? Like, men can't say things like that. Men can't, and it's not right? You shouldn't be yelling at somebody. I mean, the bottom line is you shouldn't be yelling at your partner. You shouldn't be slapping your partner. You shouldn't be abusing your partner, right? You shouldn't be, if they break up with you or cheat on you or whatever, you shouldn't be keying up their car, busting out their windshield. None of that. Like, none of that behavior is ever acceptable because nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you a relationship. Life ain't fair. Life ain't fair. Seriously. Do you know how many times I've been done wrong in situations where I did everything right? But you have to learn how to move on. But there are some people who've been sort of put into a almost protected class where if you're dating a black man, then almost anything's justified. I'll give you another example. Tiger Woods, when he was dating that white lady, he was married to that white woman. Remember when his career was going really well until about 2009. Until 2009, Tiger Woods' wife found out that Tiger was sleeping around quite a bit. He was getting it in. It was pretty bad. And she basically decided, I'm going to take a golf club and I'm going to bust it upside his head. So Tiger, people didn't know. I pieced it all together. I was watching the whole thing very closely. So Tiger disappears from media for 2 weeks. And why did he disappear from media for 2 weeks? It wasn't because he was getting his affairs in order. It was because his face was busted up because his wife put a golf club upside his head. Now, and then after it's over, after the 2 weeks is over, she wasn't the one apologizing. Tiger apologized. She didn't go to jail. Nobody pressed charges, right? No, there was no outrage. It was the narrative was, well, whatever she did, it was justified because he cheated on her. Now, what's interesting though is I've said, okay, let's flip the race, let's flip the gender. Let's assume that Tiger caught her cheating. Let's say that she was just the nastiest, raunchiest ass woman on earth and was sleeping with all kinds of men and doing the biggest dirt that a human being can do. And Tiger found out, and Tiger came home with a golf club and said, I'm about to kill your ass, and busted her upside the head with a golf club. What would happen to Tiger if he had done that? What would have happened to Tiger Woods as a black man if he had been cheated on and busted his wife upside the head with a golf club? He would be in jail. He would be in jail right now. He would never get out of jail. And she certainly wouldn't be apologizing. I mean, imagine that. Not only did she not go to jail and not get arrested, but somehow he ends up apologizing. And I was utterly fascinated. I was like, wow, he's apologizing for getting his ass beat. Like, he's apologizing for getting a golf club upside his head. I don't care how bad somebody hurt your feelings. You have no right to do things like that. Right? So basically what we have in this country is we have a big problem with accountability. We have a big problem with abuse. We have a big problem with what I consider to be something that actually hurts men and women. It doesn't just hurt the man when the women aren't held accountable. It hurts the women too. Because what happens is you end up going through life with a false narrative. You end up going through life thinking that your shit don't stink when it really does. Right? And everybody gets around you and they're smelling it, but everybody's too scared to tell you because they're afraid of getting cussed out. They're afraid of being called an abuser or woman bashing, right? They're afraid of being accused of that, so they don't say anything. So you go through life and your shit is very stinky, but you swear your shit doesn't stink. So you end up disappointed at every turn because nobody loved you enough to actually say, sit your ass down. Here's what you're doing wrong. Right? So I would encourage anybody who's hearing even a fraction of what I'm saying to really consider taking to heart the idea that you can actually improve who you are. Anybody who rejects the idea of self-improvement is going to lose. Anybody who thinks that it's always the men that have the issue and never you, you're always going to lose. Anybody who gets into a circle, you get into a circle with all your girlfriends and all y'all do is sit around and talk about how stupid men are. I get that, right? I do that with my guy friends. We'll be complaining. I'll be like, dang, man, women be doing this. They be driving me crazy, right? And that's fine, right? Everybody does a little bit of that, but there has to be a point where you think about, what is my goal? What am I trying to do? And what is it that other people have done that I haven't done that got me what I wanted to get to? Right? That's the thing. When you have a divide between where you are and where you want to be, right? Like whether it's you want to be married or you want to, you want your business to succeed or you want to win a championship like Michael Jordan did or whatever. Whenever there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be, you must take the time to self-reflect and accept the idea that you're probably not doing everything right. You can't just keep blaming it on other people because blaming other people actually is for losers. Losers typically don't have a lot of accountability, so they keep losing, and they just, because they can't handle the pressure of actually fixing themselves, they will push it on other people over and over and over again all the time. And I understand the temptation to do that. I really do. But I don't think people should be too hard on themselves. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of whatever it is you like to achieve. Like even when Michael Jordan couldn't win a championship, he was still a great player. He was worthy of a championship, but he had to change his game in order to achieve the goal. So what I would just say is this: look, when I look around and I see the way different people move and do what they got to do. Men and women have different goals. I don't believe men and women all want the same things at the same level. Most of my guy friends are not sitting around. We're not sitting around talking to each other saying, man, I can't wait to find a woman I want to marry. We're not doing that. Men are trying to get, you know how some men can be like, men are trying to get what men go after. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Let's just keep it 100, right? And there are men who are good at it and men who are not good at it. And the ones who are not good at it, you study, you learn, you try to figure out what do I have to do? Okay, I got to bring her flowers. I got to talk to her a certain way. I have to make sure that I'm polite, that I'm well dressed, right? You know what your steps are, right? Well, the same thing is true if your goal is to get married, right? If you're trying to get somebody to trust you enough to make you their spouse, to in front of the world commit themselves to you for the rest of their life, that ain't an easy task. At least I know it wasn't for me. I just speak on myself. I'm hesitant to do that because I'm flawed like everybody in here, right? So I'm not sitting here trying to pretend like I'm on some pedestal, but I will say this. I was a person who was perfectly happy being single. Completely happy being single. So get me to walk down the aisle, it wasn't like it was impossible, but it was a tall tree to climb. Women have tried. Most failed. Right? And maybe that makes me a bastard. I don't know. I don't care. I wasn't going to let anybody force me to do something I wasn't comfortable doing. Right? But there were 2 times where I proposed, and I could literally list on a piece of paper exactly what those women did that other women did not do, would not do, could not do. So I could specifically lay it out on a piece of paper. And so don't think that it's all luck of the draw. That leads to the outcomes you're looking for. It is a matter of picking the right person for sure, but how you conduct yourself with another human being, it's as simple as everybody applying for the same damn job and only one person gets the job, right? Or you may not get the job because maybe it's not the right company for you, or maybe you got unlucky. But a lot of times, if you're really trying to get over a hump, it helps to take the time to say, what is it that people do where they're able to easily get over the hump and versus those who can't get over that hump. Does that make sense? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Right? I really think that, you know, this lack of critical analysis, it's kind of strange. It's very it's unproductive. You know, it's the same okie doke BS. Like I remember I asked Dr. Julianne Malveaux, I said, Kamala Harris went to an HBCU and met all these black men. How did she end up married to a white boy? And you know what she said? She said, well, none of the brothers stepped up to the plate. I said, Dr. J, I love you, but that's some bullshit. I said, you mean to tell me that she met 1,000 black men or 500 black men and none of them met the standard? Are you serious right now? No. I think she wanted to marry that powerful white boy who was the attorney or whatever it was. That's fine. That's her choice. But don't tell me that 500 men tried and none of them stepped up to the plate, because you're insulting black men at that point. You're saying no black man on earth was qualified to, you know, climb the tree called Kamala Harris. And that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. So I think at the end of the day, critical analysis is really important. I think strategy is important. I think that if something's important, like having a healthy relationship is important to you, or meeting the right person is important to you, or getting married is important to you, or getting some ass is important to you, there are books on all those things. There are books on how to achieve all those goals, just like there are books on how to start a business, how to win an NBA championship, how to raise healthy kids, how to have a healthy body. And I think that if you want to achieve that goal, then go study. You know what I mean? Like, go study. You know, when I couldn't understand women, even to this day, I don't know if any other guys feel this way, but sometimes some stuff women do, it doesn't make sense to me. I swear. Sometimes Alicia will say something, I'll be like, that makes no damn sense to me. I don't understand a word that just came out of your mouth, right? And it's really because men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Like that book says, men really do have different brains from women. This whole myth that men and women are the same and gender is a figment of imagination, yeah, you go ahead and believe that bullshit. That's just not true. Men and women are very, very different. But one thing that really helped me a lot was, I remember when I was about maybe 29 or 30 or something, and women confused me. I wanted to understand how to achieve my goals, you know, how to pick the right woman, and then how to get her attention if I did meet her, and then how to maintain the relationship if we got together, right? And I read this book called What Women Want Men to Know by Dr. Barbara DeAngelis. And I read this book, and what she did changed my life, because she basically took me inside the brain of a woman, because she had surveyed thousands and thousands of women and laid out all these lists. These are the top 20 things that turn women off. These are the things that turn women on. And it was the weirdest thing. And I remember I would call my female friends and I'd be like, really? Like cupcakes? That turned you on? Like, I'm kidding, it wasn't cupcakes, but it would be like weird stuff to me. And it was fascinating. And that told me that women and men are different, and that if I wanted to achieve the pinnacle of relationship success with a woman, whatever that meant at that time. Again, it might not have meant marriage for me. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't a guy sitting around saying, "Gosh, I hope I get married." You know, I had a lot of goals, right? I'm a man. You know what I'm talking about. And but at the very least, I knew that if I met the great woman, if I met a woman that made me say, you know, I really want to get next to that woman, I knew I needed to know the formula to making her happy. I had to submit myself to the fact that I did not know all the answers. And I could not go through life saying, God damn, women are so damn stupid. I mean, these hoes, they don't never want to do nothing right. If you go, I bought her such as I took her out to Red Lobster and shit, and she up here acting all bougie and stuff, right? I could have did that. I could have walked around just mad, because there are people that do that. There are people who do what they think is going to work, and it doesn't work, and then they just get mad at you. They get mad at you saying, well, how could you walk away from something good? You know, when really the truth is that they didn't take the time to get to understand what you're looking for, right? And so I would say that I've seen men and women, but I would say more so women in this sense, because I think society encourages this. I have seen women unable and unwilling to figure out what's going to make a man happy, because they don't even want to take the time to try to understand that. They don't even want to take the time to come out of their own head to really say, you know, what does this man want? Like, how can I be a great woman for him? You know, I remember there was this one lady that I knew a long time ago, and I remember she was like a real hard feminist and stuff, and and all into this whole like, you know, I ain't gonna cater to no man and da 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 da. And she had some daddy issues. She hated her father. And I remember just sitting there like shit, like I'm always the bad guy. Like I'm always going to be criticized no matter what I do. And I remember just kind of trying to tell her like little things like, well, you know, it would be nicer if you did a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that. And she'd be like, well, I ain't got to do nothing for you. I mean, you need to do something for me. I ain't gonna. And it always devolved into that kind of conversation. And I got sick of it, so I stopped bringing it up. That's what people will do. If you don't talk to them and hear them out, they're gonna stop communicating with you, right? So I stopped communicating. And you know what happened? I met another lady who, you know, was more ready and willing to figure out what would make me happy. And I remember I called her up. I called this lady up and I said, you know, you act like, she was one of those like, I'm a strong black woman who don't need no man, that type of bullshit. And I said, so, you know, you act like you don't need me. Like, she's like, I'm be fine. Like, I mean, you could just leave and I'm be okay. And I was like, okay, so you're saying that if I leave, then you're not gonna, you're gonna be all right? You know, because at this point, guilt was the only thing. Like, commitment was the only thing keeping me with her. Like, I had committed to be with her. I was like, fuck, I said to this girl I'd be with her, so I'm going to go ahead and just stay because I ain't got no reason to leave. And when she said, when she made it 100% abundantly clear that she did not need me, you know what I said? I said, okay, cool. I'll see you later. I'm out. I'd like the breakup papers, please, because I wanted to call this other girl because I had a better job offer, and the job that I had, the company I was with did not appreciate me, and so I personally think, you know, when I look back at that to me is like the greatest example that I've seen in my life, where, you know, somebody literally was completely unwilling to adjust their behavior on any level in order to make the relationship better. And what was really fascinating was she was really morbidly pissed when I walked away. And I looked back on that and I thought about that and I said, well, why wouldn't I have left? You gave me a guilt-free, get out of jail free pass and basically dared me to walk away and told me you did not need me. I would just say, I'm a believer that if you let a man know that you really don't need him and you don't give a shit if he comes or goes, a man that's got options is going to be like, hasta la vista, baby. I'm out. I'm gone. I'll see you when I see you. You know? So I just personally think, you know, that overall, if I meet, now I guess the rules don't apply if you meet somebody you don't really care much about, you know? I mean, you probably shouldn't be dating them anyway, right? But if you meet somebody that you really care about, you know, it is worth it, I think, to really study them like a book. You know, let them be the teacher, you be the student. Like, what can I do that's going to make you happy? How can I fulfill you? You know, but the thing is that when you gain that ability to do that, you know, like when I gained that ability to know what it really meant to really love a woman at the highest levels, I also had boundaries on that. I wasn't going to share my best love with everybody. You know, there are women that have met me that will probably tell you I'm not a great boyfriend because it's all about effort. You know, just like basketball players. Michael Jordan probably had games where, you know, he played really, really hard because they were important games, and maybe he had days where he didn't play so hard, right? Well, sometimes, you know, like, you know, if it's not worth it, then no, you don't go that far. But if somebody is worth it, I think allowing too much pride and ego to inhibit your ability to self-reflect and to submit yourself to the idea that you can do things better. I think that the inability to do that will cost you big time in the long run, because that's how you lose the people that you love. That's how you lose that woman that really is your ride or die. You know, that's how you lose that man that really was patient with you and willing to work with you and put up with all your bullshit. You know, so just, you know, choose wisely and don't listen to the bullshit out here. Like, don't let these stupid people who can't hold a relationship together to save their life give you relationship advice, because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like all these rah cheerleading sections and all this other stuff, or that girlfriend that you got who can't keep a man for 2 weeks is telling you how, well, oh no girl, I wouldn't let nobody talk to me like that. That is a bad person to get advice from. The better people to get advice from, I have found as a man, have been like men who've been married for a long time, who literally, you know, are like, yeah, Well, you know, that's what they do sometimes. You got to put up with it, right? They push you to humble yourself to the commitment that you've made and to the relationship that you're trying to protect. They're not the ones who are going to tell you to thump your chest and go cuss her out and beat her ass and whatever. They're not going to do that. Like, you know, so I think you got to figure out what your goals are. And whatever your goals are, just know that there are books and there's training out there, there's information out there you can use that will just make you a better partner. Everything ain't gonna always go right. Sometimes you do everything right and you do it with the wrong person, or things just happen, or two good people who love each other can't work it out. But but I would say that you're better off by really working on yourself as much as you possibly can, so that when you do meet the right person and you give them your highest level of love, you have the greatest probability imaginable for things to work out, because a lot of relationships die. They should not die, and sometimes they die because of pride and ego and an unwillingness to change or adjust or to hear out the other person. So that's my 2 cents. That's what I want to share with you guys. Some of y'all might think it's bullshit. I saw somebody say that this is bullshit. That's okay. That's you exactly the type of person I'm talking about. So nobody date her dumb ass. So anyway, I'm about to go, guys. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. I'm out of here. We do actually have a movie on love and relationships with therapists and stuff like that. You guys know we make films. You can go to theblackloveblueprint.com, that's theblackloveblueprint.com. So feel free to go check that out. And also, if you are interested, remember I told you guys we're making films, we're trying to support black-owned filmmakers and black-owned films. And what we're doing is we're going to have a trailer competition to figure out which film we want to feature in future Black Movie Nights. So we've had 65 submissions already. So dozens of people are sending their submissions, and we're going to have a Blackbuster Films trailer competition where you guys can come in, watch the trailers, and vote on which film you'd like for us to feature. So if you're interested in participating in the vote, just go to blackmovienight.net. That's blackmovienight.net, not .com, .net. Blackmovienight.net. You can see all we got going on with our black film industry and all that other stuff. We're really doing big things. It's really going to be awesome. So take care, guys. Thank you for listening, and please take everything with the intention and the spirit with which it was intended. I don't pretend to be a know-it-all, but I do know a little bit, and I want to share things with you so you don't make the mistakes that I've made over time. So take care, guys. I'll see you soon. Have a good day. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.